And we press on now. If you think about where we are in talking about Donald Trump's indictment, the indictment, the discussion of it, discussion of his grievances about it, or the coverage of it, will not solve any of our country's problems, including, but not limited to, the crisis on the southern border. Nikki Haley, his former ambassador to the United Nations, headed to Eagle Pass, Texas today. That's her first, making her the first announced 2024 presidential candidate to visit there. Allie Bradley live in Eagle Pass, Texas, with what Nikki Haley had to say. Hi, Allie.
Yeah, hi, Leland. So, of course, Nikki Haley was hosted by Representative Tony Gonzalez. This is his district here in Eagle Pass. They toured all around the area. They were in Hondo, where Tony Gonzalez was telling her that migrants jump off the trains. They were in Del Rio, where they saw that the Bush-era wall was moved back, and now it's a very unstable wall. So she saw a lot of different things here at the border that she hadn't seen before, and, of course, puts this on the Biden administration, saying that he is failing the American people by not securing the southern border. And we've, of course, heard Alejandro Mayorkas even saying that he won't call it a crisis because that kind of admits some failure here at the southern border, Leland.
Allie, give us a sense of the reception there. First presidential candidate to visit, certainly not anybody who, at least right now, is a household name, much less considered a serious contender. What is her argument right now for why she thinks she can make the border an issue that will change the dynamics of the Republican race when virtually every Republican in the race feels the same way?
She's leaning a lot, Leland, on her former time as the governor. Obviously, she had a lot of different things that were related to immigration. She had put forward the mandatory E-Verify program. That's one that she's touting here along the southern border, saying that she would mandate that companies verify that their employees are, in fact, legally here. So that's one thing. She's talking about, of course, MPP, which we've heard as the Republican Party has backed that. And, of course, she wants Title 42 in place. But she wants to end catch and release, which we've also heard many Republicans talk about. So really, she isn't setting herself really apart outside of being here earlier than everyone else. But she was here pretty late, Leland. So when you ask what kind of the reception was, we were standing around waiting for quite a while. Some people were mentioning it wasn't that presidential for her to show up to a press conference an hour late. So we were able to be here and to have some questions with her. But I did ask her how she felt about the cartels, because obviously we've heard the Republican Party push very heavily on getting the designation as a terrorist organization. So here's what she had to say about the cartels, Leland.
We absolutely should name them as terrorist organizations. I mean, if you look at the fact we had enough fentanyl cross the border last year that would kill every single American. And the cartels, if they're not trafficking drugs, they're trafficking people. Either way, what they're doing is terrorist activity, and we need to deal with that. We don't want cartels coming into America. What good is that? Our job is to protect America first.
So really interesting here, Leland. What I was pushing Nikki Haley on was kind of there's this Republican narrative, right? They want MPP to stay in place, which is remain in Mexico. They want Title 42, which is expedited removal back to Mexico. But they also want to designate the cartels as terrorists. So would that cause problems with sending people back to Mexico? Now, Nikki Haley didn't really have an answer for that. However, Representative Gonzalez did say that that is going to take some work. They're going to have some nuances there that they have to finagle if they do get this designation, because that is a viable issue. We're saying that the cartel controls the border, yet we're going to send migrants back into the hands of this terrorist organization. So they'll pose some problems for Republicans.
Yeah, no kidding. Good catch there. We hadn't thought of that here, which is why we have you down on the border. Allie, great work. Get used to covering the campaign trail. An hour late is considered on time sometimes. In New Hampshire and Iowa, we'll see you soon. Thanks for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to subscribe. Click the red button to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.